was younger, I was taught that the American dream was to own your own home. And now, as I've gotten older, I've sort of changed my perspective a little bit, and I think the American dream is to own your own business. And the reason I think America's got such a great edge in that department is sitting in this room today could be the next idea that's going to change the world. It can come from anywhere, and anybody sort of can have the resources to make that happen. And I asked John here today because he's the president of Appliance Center, which is the second largest appliance store in the country. And every day he has to compete against really giant corporations and really gets the best of them. So I'm not going to steal his thunder. Here to talk a little bit about leadership and what he does in his business is John Oswald.
Thanks, Casey, Mr. Benz. I'll never get used to that. I appreciate the invitation. Once upon a time, I dreamt that I'd be able to go back to high school and stand amongst my peers, stand really tall amongst my peers, and kind of tell them that I'm the MVP. Something I never had the courage to do when I was in school. And today, if everything goes well, a few of you are going to have that opportunity. And if all goes well, with what I call the elevator pitch, around town and around Northwest Ohio with other businesses normally, I talk to them about why we live in the land of giants in our business. Every single local competitor that Appliance Center Home Store had when I was your age, all the appliance and electronic stores that were locally owned, every single one of them, there was 30 of them when I was your age, 30 are all gone. There's not a single locally owned appliance electronic store in town. There's not one. It's kind of scary. Every one of those, of course, was replaced by a bigger, larger, faster, in some people's minds, company, a national or international box store. One of the things that drives me is competing against them. That's kind of like our Coliseum, our amphitheater. It's something that I look forward to every day. One of the lessons that I talk about often is something I learned when I was your age and even earlier was from my father when he was 16 years old at Central Catholic. He had the opportunity to kind of get his life lesson from his guidance counselor. And the guidance counselor supposedly would seal his fate, would give him his final report as to what he's supposed to do with his life. And he would talk about it, even going through school and University of Toledo and law school and on a wrestling scholarship and having 10 kids. I was the youngest of 10 kids. He was born in the projects, literally with nothing, and grew up to build schools all over the United States, small one-room schoolhouses, and then of course in Vietnam and China. And he was able to do it, he claims, in part because of the motivation he got when he was in high school. This little report that he would talk about from time to time, but he never told us, never told any of the kids, as far as I know, what was on that report. And it was almost like a legend. Years later, as he was kind of winding down, his health was waning, and I knew he didn't have a lot of days left. My wife and I wanted, my wife currently, and Nadia and I were about to be married, and I wanted my dad to meet my father-in-law and mother-in-law to be. And he was really struggling, and we got called into his bedroom, brought my father-in-law and brought my mother-in-law to be in there, and there he was. Just to get a visualization of it, he used to always lay down with his knees up, even when he slept almost, like he's ready to do something else. And he actually touched on this report. He talked about that it was something that moved him every day, that there was nothing more important than the push and the motivation and the excitement and the passion and the fire when he ran into certain people. Your peers, and I mentioned this to other people, is it's a wonderful experiment, but your peers are kind of chosen for you in high school just purely based on geography and age. And he used to talk about, as you get older, you actually have a choice to surround yourself with people that give you that fire, that give you that motivation. He used to talk about his tool belt that would motivate him, and some of the things that were so important to him, that the answer is yes to every reasonable request. When you get asked, later on in life from a high school or a family for help. It's probably the most powerful thing you'll ever ask someone. Will you help me? I love you. I need help. Those are the little things in life that I remember. Try never to say no when someone asks you for help. Whether it's, again, a high school, to adopt a family. There's, as you all know, every one of you has a family that you've run across that needs your help. I mentioned previously the Nuzum family, and just south of us here, they've adopted 32 special needs children. 32, and they all live with them, and none of the kids are going to move out. All severely challenged, and it's possible. They have no air conditioning in their house. They've been doing it since 1979, and all the kids are still there. That's my push. That's what motivates me, that other people and that the impossible is possible. I talk about the little things in life when you encounter people, the engagement of your friends and family, and how you can improve upon that, how that when you've got a friend, keep them for life. In high school, I used to think that I'd have 1,000 friends follow me through life, and I found that you really don't need that many. Just a few is fine. One of them's here in front of us. Kyle is my one exception at Appliance, and I always tell people, you know, don't maybe be friendly, but don't be friends with the people that you manage or you work with. Kyle's one exception because I've known him since I was a little kid, and even when we both thought we were going to be college wrestlers, and he was nice enough to let me beat him a lot. That's not true. But keep those individuals close to you. Let them criticize you. I hated criticism when I was 15, 16, 20, 30, 35, 36, 38. I hated criticism. But it's so helpful. People will, if you allow them to, they will quietly help you through criticism. They will help you focus. They will help you get better. They will help you improve your grades. I talk about, you know, never giving up, never giving up. There's a great 1993 speech by Jimmy Valvano, the 1983 North Carolina basketball coach. He used to talk about never giving up, even when you're taking that last breath and you're surrounded, again, by people that are the most important people in your life. When you're laying down, and, you know, it's kind of ironic that last hug that you're given is actually from yourself. So there we were looking at my dad laying down. It was actually his last day that he spoke, with my father-in-law and mother-in-law around us. And what was written on that report that I had never heard about, never saw until that day, was 3 words, not profound. That guidance counselor said 60 years ago, almost this month, said, "Seek factory work, off you go." And he was dismissed. And I think about that, if that guidance counselor, that advisor that gave him that life report that he often called it, you know, if he had a chance to really think, you know, what just happened there, that he dismissed him, that motivation was supposed to die, not that working in a factory is not an honorable profession, but he wanted something beyond that. And he believed that, you know, oftentimes people around us can be used for examples of what not to do and what not to be. So you can make that choice. You can decide, I'm not going to be that guy that just does a rudimentary life. I'm not going to be that woman that has a simple life, that doesn't give back. I talk about something Albert Schweitzer mentioned years ago, and he used to talk about destiny. And I really don't know what your destiny is going to be, but I do know that I believe I know that only those around you that will truly find happiness are those that have sought and found how to serve, to adopt a friend, to adopt a family, to be part of something bigger than themselves. That's wealth. When I snuck into the Dominican Republic from the backside, not from a cruise ship, when I snuck in there, when I watched these individuals in these hotels that maybe are hotels that none of you would maybe want to stay in, you'd watch these individuals and you knew they didn't have monetary wealth. But do you think any of them basking in paradise? thought they were poor? I don't think so. The wealthiest people I know on paper aren't often the happiest people I know. And many of you know very successful people. The equation isn't always correlated to happiness. Being happy, again, is having friends, having family. Material things don't mean a whole lot. I've had it on both ends. I've made $19,000 a year. I've made not $19,000 a year. $30 million a year is our published, and we have to publish our results in lots of trade magazines. I don't feel different than I did years ago. You have the same friends, the same people you participate with, but not a whole lot changes as far as that goes. You can only have so many cars. I have a $30,000 Jeep outside. There is no crazy car, and Kyle will attest to that, in my garage. I have a farm that I personally take care of, a soybean farm. It's those things that humble me. You'll find that humility is one of those things that, above all else, that's probably the one trait that I want to be around. Think about that. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, all the peers that you surround yourself with today, there's probably less than 3 or 4 of them that are going to be truly important to you on a regular basis. Remember, when you have a few, keep them close to you. Kyle, there's a commercial, if you don't mind playing. One of the things, putting yourself out there, a lot of times people see our commercials, some of these are 20 plus years old, jumping out of airplanes and jumping into pools. And a pool spot that you'll see in a moment is actually shot in a wonderful place downtown, a prison. They wouldn't let us shoot anyplace else for 3 days. Try not to, I wouldn't encourage any of you, by the way, to steal a prisoner's pool, so we did get some flack over that. Also, by the way, it's physically impossible to sink an old television, by the way, the old style ones that you guys all see in books that you probably never own yourselves. Anybody know what a picture tube is? Old style television? Okay. As far as everything else in life, I find that, and you've heard these things mentioned before, I know less and less every day, but I surround myself with people that will help me. Admit when you don't know everything. It's very difficult. When I was 20 years old, I felt I knew everything, and you've heard this before. But year after year, surround yourself with people that know what they're doing. There's the world's largest appliance store, world's largest furniture store, Furnitureland South in the Carolinas. Visit them. Go talk to them. You'd be surprised. They have adopted me in Chicago, the appliance store there that's 10 plus times larger than we are. I can go in there. We have lunch with the people. We spend literally all day. Kyle and I, we get the VIP service. They do it for free. They're just glad to help. You'd be surprised. I talk about the 3 strongest phrases I've ever heard, and one of them obviously is, "Can you help me?" When I call someone and you're sincere about it, people want to help. Saying "I'm sorry" and "of course I love you." Rarely though do people say, "Yeah, I'm sorry." Sometimes, to be honest with you, I've said it maybe when I don't mean it 100%. Sometimes you need to do that. It's the argument endpoint. And oftentimes in the past, one of my mistakes was I just let it keep going and going. In putting yourself out there, there's 100 kids there. And we actually shot that in Cleveland. We tried for about 6 months to shoot it in the Toledo area. We tried so many schools, but to get 100 parents to participate and sign off on it was impossible. So we actually did it in a summer academy in Cleveland, unfortunately. A lot of fun though. Those are many years ago and people still talk about them. Some of the things that we do, people forget right away, but if you do something different, you truly kind of separate yourself from the crowd, people will remember you. You know, as far as inspiration, I've talked about it. There's so much in life that is important to me. One individual I was lucky enough to meet when I was a freshman in high school, one of the greatest heroes, I think, of all time, of our last 100 years. Captain Nick Rose, first name is actually James, but he always went by Nick. He was captured in Vietnam in 1963, one of the first people ever captured there. Also, there's only 34 people in Vietnam that have escaped from a camp, and he was one of the 34 people in all of Vietnam. This individual, for 62 months, was buried in a bamboo subterranean pit for 62 months. One of the longest POW times on record, and he escaped. He overcame a Viet Cong general and escaped from a place called the Forest of Darkness in southern Vietnam. Again, 62 months. What do you think he was doing for 62 months? He's trying to survive, trying to get by, trying to stay motivated, trying to think of what the next thing is. But more importantly, he was also trying to figure out how he can teach others, if he ever was lucky to escape, to not get in the predicament that he found himself in. He literally went to Vietnam and was almost captured overnight. He was just in country for a short period of time, in a bamboo subterranean pit. He finally overcame the Viet Cong guard and was rescued by helicopter in 1968. Came back to the United States with little fanfare. There's a few reporters in California, and in the book, he talks about dropping to his knees, bending down and kissing the ground and saying one thing: there is no bad day in the USA. There really isn't. You know, our poor that we have in the United States is obviously very poor, but compared to other countries, it isn't. I've been in, as some of you probably have as well, some very poor places, but it just doesn't compare to the extreme poverty in other countries. And when I spent a lot of time in Haiti, of all the months I was there, I never saw money. Never saw money the whole time I was there. Think about that. That's the currency. They even lost their French language. They weren't even teaching that when I was there. There is a difference. Again, no bad day in the USA. As far as 1968, again, going back to Captain Rowe, he talked about getting a manual together to teach others to not fall in that predicament. And the SAR, the strategy and the evasion and the resistance and the escape program that he devised in a subterranean pit in the Forest of Darkness, in the worst place imaginable, is now the #1 requirement to graduate from any military academy in the United States. And he did it in the worst place imaginable, teaching others, inspiring others. He just wanted to get out. He just wanted to survive. But this one guy, nutty as he was, smart as he was, he said, you know what? I'm not going to be, again, stuck here forever. I am going to escape. I am actually going to be able to inspire others to greatness. It's possible. The impossible is possible. I believe that. Allow others every day to inspire you. Surround yourself with people that, again, sometimes are smarter than us. I'm not the smartest person I know. I'm not the wealthiest person I know. But I do believe I'm the most flexible. I do believe that I'm the only one in the business I'm in that wants criticism all the time. Kyle will tell you that. Tell me what I'm doing wrong. What did you think about it? What can I do differently? I hated to do that 20 years ago. That's the one lesson I'll leave you with. If you remember that, if you forget everything else we talked about today, remember, have people quietly, especially your inner circle, let them critique you. They will figure it out. Your really close friends that really know you, if they don't criticize you quietly, tactfully, fire them. Fire them. They're really not your friends if they're not willing to tell you everything you need to know. I do appreciate the invitation today. Now for the fun part. We mentioned earlier the elevator pitch. You're stuck in an elevator with a total stranger, and you need to, for 60 seconds, tell them about you, that you're the MVP. I think you are. I hope you are. And so today's that day. You guys were lucky enough, or maybe smart enough, to show up today. Again, we got a small scholarship to the winner out of the 3 sessions today. We're going to narrow the group down very quickly in just a minute here. We're going to ask right now, if you're willing, for any of those individuals You have a question right now? You have volunteer before, okay. Okay, a volunteer, I like that. Takes the initiative, okay. One of your students, I got it. Any of those in the stands here that have a 3.5 GPA, stand up. Or higher. Well, that would be remarkable. You have an exact 3.5? I like it. Okay. Please remain standing if you work during the school year more than 20 hours a week. I've seen that total before. I've seen 3 before, okay. Well, that was easy. You made our job very easy. So in no particular order, since closest proximity maybe to myself, if I could ask you to come forward, my friend. Introduce yourself, at least to me.
Troy Watkins.
Right, wonderful. 60 seconds.
Well, I'm very outgoing. I always like to hear everyone else's pitch. I can talk to anyone about anything. I'm always there for people. I'm always nice to everyone, and I do try my hardest on everything that I do, and I try to succeed in everything. And about that's all I got.
Fortunately, Troy, it was a one-story building. We didn't have to go very far in the elevator. Thank you. Well done. Our second...
the other two that were still standing at the end, if you could stand. Either one of you guys come down.
You're passing, okay. Easy enough. We're going to go back. We need one more. So we actually have the third individual. If you can step forward, then we'll select a third.
It's not much for me to say, but if I were to hypothetically ask you all to close your eyes and I say a couple of words, your first thoughts would be negative. If I were to say, hey, my name is Torek and I'm Saudi Arabian and I'm Muslim, you wouldn't have very positive thoughts, and that's the power of stereotypes. And my goal in life is to actually break those stereotypes. If you look at me, if you talk to me, you're not going to get the same impression as you might get before speaking with me. And so here's what you might know about me. I'm a very hardworking kind of person. I like to take initiative. I volunteered. And I'm very sociable and I'm very nice to everyone. I like criticism, but at the same time, there are some things you should keep to yourself. Again, I don't like stereotypes, so please keep that away. I'm very sociable. I like to hang out with people, athletic. I care a lot about school. Let's keep that in common. And hey, if you want to hire me, you should give me that scholarship too. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Wonderful. Well, for a quick reset, since we need that third individual, this has never happened to me, but if I could have those individuals one more time with a 3.5 GPA, stand up one more time, please. And then remain standing if you work 10 hours during the school year. 10 hours, okay. Oh, you hesitated. 9, okay. So we've got our, well, that was, you're half sitting, you're thinking about 9 hours. Did you get overtime in this? How do you know? So you work over 10, 3.5, higher? Okay, we're down to 2. Were you standing as well? Okay, so we have 2. So we're going to raise it, obviously. 3.75, 3.75, either one of you? You both are, okay. 3.85, 4.0? Okay. All right, we've got our candidate. If you come on up. Julia.
I'm Julia Bailey. I'm pretty sociable. I'm kind of shy, but I'm a really hardworking individual, and I like to volunteer. I teach little kids how to golf all throughout the summer, and I don't know, when I put my mind to something, I really work hard to succeed in that, and I like leading individuals. I was the captain of the golf team this year, and I helped to start a fundraiser to bring in money for the golf team, and I play the cello, and that's like a big part of my life too, so.
So 60 seconds, I think maybe we'll reconvene one more time if that works.
Before John walks away, if we could give him a giant round of applause. I want him for joining us today. As he runs a big business, it takes a lot of time, and he volunteers time to be here today. He also paid for all the pizza that you guys ate, and then he generously offered the scholarship that he's going to be giving away today. Unbeknownst to us, he emailed us this week and said he wanted to do that, so very generous of him. While they are convening and talking about who they want to advance on, let's talk about real quick logistics. Seniors, we are meeting next week, don't forget, and we're going to be looking at your the weekly planning that you guys have been doing based on your vision statements for yourself. Right, Alyssa? Very good, nice. And juniors, we just met last week. We had our third quarter case study. We have one to go. Sophomores, you guys are busy planning Band-Aid. So you guys are all kind of working on separate committees and doing your own thing. Freshmen, you guys have a little bit lighter load. We did it on purpose just because you're getting used to high school. We did the fight song in the second quarter. We're going to do the alma mater in the third quarter with you guys. And then as we get to the fourth quarter with everybody, we'll be doing reflections on this year. And then we'll be getting ready for next year. So one thing I will say, you guys did a pretty nice job with binders today, I would say on your way in, but we need to make sure that's ready to go at the end of the year. There are about 300 of you guys, and we need to quickly be able to go through and figure out who's on pace for graduation. And our plan is to get pins that you guys will be able to wear on your graduation gowns, as long as you're keeping up with everything. So, and the way that we'll know that is by collecting those binders. So if you don't have yours organized yet, get that done sooner rather than later. And by that I mean, I know it's easy to put things off to the last second, but if you do that, keep in mind what's going to be coming at the end of the year, and that's exams. So make sure that you guys are preparing, getting your binder done, get it done ahead of time. Maybe by the end of February, make it a goal to have your binder all set and ready to go. Get everything printed off and completed. Okay? Any questions in general about Leadership Academy stuff while we wait on a decision from the crew? Anybody? Next couple leadership lunches, just an advanced look. March will be Chris Peterson from WTOL. April will be Steve Mix, former NBA player. He held an executive position with the NBA Players Union for a long time, and he's a current college basketball coach. He's got a lot of leadership experience. And then May will be Dr. Rieger. It'll be our last one for the year. So you need to attend 6 of the 8 at a minimum. We've, I think, had a dynamite slate this year of people, so if you can attend all 8, please do so. These people have all walked long paths and they've learned a lot, and it's very nice they're here to share it with you guys. So if you can be at all 8, please plan on doing that. Any questions? Anybody? Nobody? Okay, sophomores will have a retreat this summer. And juniors, you will have your own separate retreat. It'll be a little bit different than last year. Last year we did everybody together. This year it'll be a little bit different. So seniors will have our own retreat. Juniors will have your own retreat, FYI. Any questions in general? Anybody? The current sophomores will have a junior retreat at the end of the summer, and the current juniors will have a senior retreat at the end of the summer. Okay. All right, Mr. Vince, with the verdict.
I'm going to kind of repeat that. I'm going to be the bad guy. What was difficult is I think we were finding reasons to stick up for everybody, and this is to make it to the finals. We're going to make a final decision about the scholarship after we hear the elevator pitches in 7. So we had to bring it down to a technicality, I guess, if you would say, because the only person who met both criteria that John had said at the beginning was willing to get up here and speak his elevator pitch was Troy Watkins. So we're going to put you in the final round of applause for Troy. And we'll reconvene at the end of 7 to make the final decision. We'll try to get it on the announcements even today if we can, Mr. Swaggerty. Okay?
Again, thank you, Mr. Oswald, for coming out today. And that's about it. I think we have extra.
Yeah, there's definitely extra. There's more people coming, so.